Hey, Shaman Jon Rasmussen here. And I was hoping you have had the chance to check out my previous podcast and article about called It Was Aliens. And I wanted to say more about that, right? So basically, I want to make it really clear. Never mind about all the conspiracy stuff and false flags and all the things that you think is, it's been created by the government. Okay, this is really important because these things, this is going to come out now. We're going to start seeing a lot of more about all this stuff, And I just, as far as conspiracy theories goes, one of the things that I've learned in my life is that most of the time nobody's really clever enough to really pull off what some of these conspiracies say. So let's put that aside for a moment. And besides, there'd have to be like really reliably sourced leaks, like not I knew a guy who knew a guy who said this and then it just loops back around. No. Here's the deal. aliens are real. All this stuff is real. You're going to find out all about it. I've seen these things with my own eyes. And the bottom line is that they do not change the concept of what we already experience here on Earth. This is the thing. Nothing's going to change. My 15,000-year-old Caro culture friends that I, learned shamanism from, right? Don Manuel Quispe, most notably. They know that there are the kind of ETs, right? Extraterrestrials that come in buses, which are the spaceships. And there's probably all kinds of different races or species of those, kind of just like on Earth. So what? And then there are, the kind that show up as balls of light through the tear of time and space, as they would say. And they were much more interested in those because these are the light beings. These are the ones that actually do us some good. Can do us some good. And so they find the latter to be a little more benevolent. And, I've always supported all the ancient alien research that shows, evidence of both of these kinds of ETs coming to Earth since there have been records and probably before. I've flown in a small airplane over the Nazca lines and I was blown away. It's way more than you see in the documentaries and stuff. It's whole mountaintops have been shaved off. And, I have my theories about that, that basically, what humans have always done, which is to put up effigies to try and get things to come back. But I believe that, the balls of light are the angels, essentially, and there are various kinds, right? And I also believe they're human souls at times, as well as possibly, malevolent beings, just like here on Earth, right? There's this whole spectrum of different kinds of beings and people. And, what's coming from space is just an extended form of what we see and know about here on Earth, right? It doesn't need to change religious beliefs because it's really just an extension. It's just another deeper understanding of what all of our old religious texts and everything have been telling us about. Since time and space itself is complex and variable and circular and layered from the shaman's point of view, it's also probable that some of these beings, both in crafts and balls of light, can be related to Homo sapiens as well as some version of us from the future or even the past, right? And all it really does is simply add complexity to our understanding of what we know about life and creation in the universe, right? So, some of us have been contemplating, studying, and looking at evidence our whole lives. And the interesting part is that a large number of humans may soon have to face it and think about it too, as is always the case. When they figured out the Earth was round, when they figured out that the Earth is revolving around the sun, when they found that there were cells, when they learned about bones and organs. I mean, these were all like, moments of enlightenment for a lot of people who had a different view of everything beforehand. But life didn't change, it still went on, right? And so none of that's new either, right? And whether, physical or non-physical science through the ages, through throughout the ages, there's always been a bell curve of education and understanding. There's always people who know it ahead of time, then the majority of people know it, and then we're kind of over it. And, so I've personally been able to integrate this knowledge and continue to maintain, mental clarity and well-being in spite of learning all these new things that seem to be really weird and wild. So it's totally doable, right? It doesn't have to rock your world so badly that you're never going to be able to function. No, life goes on. Some folks will have trouble believing anything they hear about or even experience directly and have trouble integrating it into their current belief systems, and that's okay. Right? The fact is that day-to-day quality of life isn't going to change when we find out all of this was real all along. So it's been there all along. And it's still there. Nothing new, right? Miracles have always been real. Ghosts, demons, angels have always been real. ETs have always been real. And a lot of conspiracy theories aren't real and are not as provable as the actual things I've just listed. So, our understanding of the underlying reality of a thing can be upgraded, always has been, but the thing doesn't change and the momentum of the current experience doesn't either, right? All the wisdom teachings and things you need to do for mental, physical, and spiritual well-being will continue, right? You'll still have to eat, you'll still have to work, you'll still have to sleep, you still have to function on the planet, whether, even if there's always been alien spaceships and bases in the ocean, right? And otherworldly beings of light showing up to help us. No matter what you learn for the first time about the nature of reality, the bottom line is that it's still what it is, okay? It's not, the fundamental basic reality of your life is still going to be exactly what it is. And the thing to do is to just keep calm and carry on, right? Before you're enlightened about something new, chop wood, carry water. After you're enlightened about something new, chop wood, carry water. Right? You would have always benefited by educating yourself regarding day-to-day life, survival, large systems and organizations, politics to make informed voting decisions, etc. That's not going to change. All right? So as all this stuff begins to come out, just know nothing really is going to change as much as you think it is. You'll just be like, oh, okay, now I get it. That is real. Still got to carry on. Still got to keep living. So I'd love to talk about this stuff. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. Thanks. Oh, and please check out my new book, right? Common Threads. Buy it. Please leave a review on Amazon and that kind of stuff. I think it's really good. And I love talking about that. And I want to talk more about it with y'all. Take care.